In the vast, dark space, there lived some really mean aliens called the Xarthul. They were tall, with scaly green skin and 4 arms. Each Xarthul had big, sharp teeth and eyes that glowed red. They looked scary, and they acted even scarier. The Xarthul lived on a planet called Zargan. It was a world full of tall buildings made of shiny metal. The sky was always dark, with 3 moons that glowed purple. The Xarthul liked their planet, but they wanted more. They wanted to own every planet they could find. One day, the leader of the Xarthul, named Crag, called a big meeting. All the important Xarthul came to the giant hall of warriors. Crag stood up and shouted, "My fellow Xarthul, we are the strongest in the galaxy. It's time we showed everyone how strong we are." The other Xarthul cheered and banged their fists on the tables. They all agreed. They wanted to fight and win. Crag pointed to a big map of the galaxy. "Look at all these planets," he said. "They're full of weak aliens who can't fight. We'll take their planets and make them work for us." The Xarthul got very excited. They started to make plans. They had big spaceships that could travel very fast. These ships were shaped like pointy stars and were as big as cities. They painted them black, so they were hard to see in space. The Xarthul also had strong weapons. They had guns that could melt rocks and bombs that could blow up whole cities. They made special suits that protected them from any weapon the other aliens might have. Soon, the Xarthul were ready. They got into their ships and left their planet. As they flew through space, other aliens saw them coming. These aliens tried to talk to the Xarthul. They sent messages saying, "Hello, we come in peace. Do you want to be friends?" But the Xarthul didn't want to be friends. They wanted to fight. When they reached the first planet, they didn't even say hello. They just started attacking. The poor aliens on that planet were scared. They had never seen anything like the Xarthul before. They tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't hurt the Xarthul's strong ships. Many aliens ran away and hid. The Xarthul laughed as they took over the planet. They made the aliens work for them, digging in mines and building more ships. If any alien tried to stop working, the Xarthul would punish them. News of the mean Xarthul spread quickly across the galaxy. Many planets tried to get ready for a fight. Some planets asked their neighbors for help. They formed a group called the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council met on a beautiful planet with 2 suns. Aliens from many different worlds came. There were aliens with blue skin and antennae. There were aliens that looked like talking rocks. There were even aliens made of gas who floated in special bubbles. They all talked about what to do about the Xarthul. A wise old alien named Zorp said, "We must stand together. If we fight as one, we can beat the Xarthul." Everyone agreed this was a good idea. They started to build weapons and train soldiers. They hoped they would be ready when the Xarthul came. But the Xarthul were very clever. They found out about the Galactic Council's plans. One night, when no one was expecting it, they attacked the Council's planet. The battle was big and scary. The sky filled with spaceships shooting at each other. The Xarthul's weapons were so strong that they cracked the ground and made volcanoes erupt. The Galactic Council fought bravely, but they weren't strong enough. Many aliens were hurt, and lots of buildings were destroyed. In the end, the Xarthul won. After that, the Xarthul became even more terrible. They went from planet to planet, beating everyone who tried to stop them. Some planets gave up without even fighting because they were so scared. The Xarthul felt very proud. Crag, their leader, made a big speech. He said, "See how strong we are. No one can stop the mighty Xarthul. Soon, the whole galaxy will be ours." All the Xarthul cheered. They really believed they were the best in the whole universe. They didn't think anyone could ever beat them. But far away, on a small blue planet that the Xarthul hadn't noticed yet, something was happening. This planet was called Earth. The people there didn't know about the XRFL yet. They were busy with their own lives, working and playing and learning. Little did the XRFL know, these Earthlings would soon become their biggest problem. But that's a story for another day. For now, the XRFL kept being the bullies of space. They were mean and strong, and everyone was scared of them. The galaxy had become a very unhappy place. Earth, the planet no one cared about. Far away from where the XRFL were causing trouble, there was a small blue and green planet called Earth. It spun around a yellow star, with one moon keeping it company. The funny thing was, no one in the big galaxy really knew about Earth. It was like that quiet kid in class that no one notices. On Earth, people went about their daily lives. They woke up, went to work or school, watched TV, and slept. They had no idea that there were aliens out there, let alone mean ones like that Carful. In a big city called New York, a girl named Sarah walked to school. She was thinking about her math test, not about space battles. In another place called Tokyo, a man named Hiroshi was stuck in traffic, worrying about being late for work. He didn't know that in space, whole planets were being taken over. Earth had its own problems. Countries fought with each other over things like land and oil. People argued about how to stop the weather from getting too hot. Nobody was looking up at the stars and thinking, I wonder if mean aliens are coming to get us. But not everyone on Earth was busy with just Earth stuff. In a desert in Chile, there was a big building with a huge telescope. Inside, a woman named Dr. Maria Lopes was looking at space. She had frizzy hair and thick glasses, and she loved to study the stars. One night, Dr. Lopes saw something weird. The computer that listened to space noises started beeping. She heard a sound that didn't seem normal. It wasn't like the usual space sounds she knew. This was different. Excited, Dr. Lopes called her friend, Dr. Tom Chen, who worked at a different space listening place in Australia. Tom, she said, I heard something strange from space. Can you check if you hear it too? Dr. Chen, who was eating a sandwich, nearly choked. He ran to his computers and started checking. After a while, he called Dr. Lopes back. Maria, I heard it too. What do you think it is? The two scientists talked for hours. They thought maybe they had found aliens. They were so excited they couldn't sleep. The next day, Dr. Lopes and Dr. Chen called a big meeting. They invited important scientists from all over the world. Everyone met in a room with lots of screens and computers. Dr. Lopes stood up and said, We heard a strange noise from space. We think it might be aliens trying to talk to us. She played the sound for everyone. The room was quiet for a minute. Then everyone started talking at once. Some people were excited. Others didn't believe it. A few were scared. One old scientist stood up. His name was Dr. Blackwell, and he had big bushy eyebrows. He frowned and said, That's not aliens. It's probably just some space rocks hitting each other. You're wasting our time. Many people agreed with Dr. Blackwell. They thought Dr. Lopes and Dr. Chen were being silly. The meeting ended with most people laughing at the idea of aliens. Dr. Lopes and Dr. Chen were sad. They really believed they had found something important, but no one would listen to them. Meanwhile, the leaders of different countries were too busy arguing with each other to care about maybe aliens. In a big White House in America, the president was yelling at his helpers about money problems. In a cold country called Russia, the leader was planning how to take over a neighbor country. They were all focused on Earth problems, not space problems. Even regular people didn't care much about the scientists' discovery. On the internet, more people were talking about a funny cat video than about the weird space noise. On TV, the news talked more about a famous person's new haircut than about possible aliens. Dr. Lopes and Dr. Chen didn't give up, though. They kept listening to space and trying to understand the strange sounds. They sent messages to space, hoping the aliens would answer, but they never got a reply. What they didn't know was that their messages were being blocked. The mean Exarthal had put up a sort of wall around the part of space near Earth. They didn't want Earth to know about them yet. They were too busy bullying other planets. So Earth kept spinning, and its people kept living their normal lives. Kids went to school, grown-ups went to work, and everyone watched funny videos on their phones. The only ones who worried were Dr. Lopez and Dr. Chen, but nobody listened to them. Earth was like a little island in a big ocean, and a storm was coming. But nobody on the island knew it yet. They were all busy playing in the sand and swimming in the calm water. Little did they know, things were about to change. The Exarthal were getting closer, and Earth's peace wouldn't last much longer. But for now, Earth was still the planet that nobody in space cared about. And maybe, just maybe, that would turn out to be a good thing. Oh no, the aliens are here. It was just another normal day on Earth. People were going about their usual business, completely unaware that their lives were about to change forever. In New York, Sarah was sitting in her math class, doodling in her notebook instead of paying attention to the teacher. In Tokyo, Hiroshi was finally at work, typing away on his computer, and in her lab in Chile, Dr. Maria Lopes was still trying to convince people about the strange space noises she had heard. Suddenly, the sky went dark. At first, people thought it was just clouds. But then they looked up and gasped. Huge, black shapes were blocking the sun. They were so big that they covered whole cities with their shadows. In New York, Sarah's teacher stopped the lesson and everyone ran to the windows. The shapes in the sky looked like giant, pointy stars. They were Exarthal spaceships. But of course, no one on Earth knew that yet. People started to panic. In Tokyo, Hiroshi and his coworkers crowded around the TV in their office. The news was showing the same scene all over the world, massive ships hovering over every major city. Phones started ringing everywhere as people called their friends and family. The internet exploded with messages and videos of the ships. Everyone was asking the same questions. What's happening? Who are they? What do they want? World leaders scrambled to respond. In Washington, D.C., the president was rushed to a safe room deep underground. He demanded answers from his advisors, but no one knew what to say. This wasn't in any of their emergency plans. At the United Nations building in New York, representatives from all countries gathered for an emergency meeting. They argued and shouted, each blaming the others. Some thought it was a trick by enemy countries. Others believed it was the end of the world. Meanwhile, in her lab, Dr. Lopes was jumping up and down with excitement. "I knew it," she shouted, pumping her fist in the air. "I knew I heard aliens." She tried to call Dr. Chen in Australia, but all the phone lines were jammed. As the world descended into chaos, the Exarthal made their first move. A bright light shot down from one of the ships hovering over New York. When it faded, a group of Exarthal stood in the middle of Times Square. They were just as scary as they looked in their ships. Tall, green, with 4 arms and glowing red eyes. People screamed and ran away. Cars crashed as drivers abandoned them in the street. One of the Exarthal stepped forward. In a deep, booming voice that somehow everyone could understand, it said, "People of Earth, we are the Exarthal. Your planet now belongs to us. Resist, and you will be destroyed." TVs all over the world showed this scene. In his office, Hiroshi watched with his mouth open in shock. Sarah huddled with her classmates in the school gym, staring at the screen in disbelief. The Exarthal message was clear: surrender or die. But humans aren't known for giving up easily. In London, a brave news reporter approached the Exarthal. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice shaking but determined. "What do you want from us?" The Exarthal leader laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "We want everything," it said. "Your resources, your people, your planet. You will serve the Exarthal Empire now." Governments around the world started to respond. Military jets took off, heading towards the alien ships. But as soon as they got close, a strange blue light surrounded them. The jets fell from the sky, their engines dead. On the ground, Tanks rolled into cities, aiming at the XR-Thul. But their shells bounced off an invisible shield around the aliens. Nothing seemed to hurt them. As the day went on, more XR-Thul landed in cities across the globe. They started rounding up people, herding them like cattle. Those who fought back were zapped with energy weapons, falling to the ground unconscious. But humans are creative and stubborn. In New York, Sarah and her classmates found ways to sneak past the XR-Thul patrols. They used their knowledge of the city's back alleys and secret passages to avoid capture. In Tokyo, Hiroshi and a group of coworkers barricaded themselves in their office building. They used computers to communicate with other resistance groups forming around the world. And in her lab in Chile, Dr. Lopes was busy. She believed that her research on the alien signals could be the key to fighting back. Working nonstop, she tried to find a weakness in the powerful technology. As night fell on that first terrible day, the situation looked bad for Earth. The XR-Thul controlled most major cities. World governments were in chaos. Millions of people were captured or in hiding. But hope wasn't lost. All over the world, humans were adapting, planning, and preparing to fight back. They might be down, but they weren't out. The XR-Thul thought taking over Earth would be easy. They thought humans would give up without a real fight, but they were about to learn a hard lesson. Never underestimate the human spirit. As the first day of the invasion ended, one thing was clear. The war for Earth had only just begun. Humans fight back. Surprise. The XR-Thul thought they had won. They believed Earth would be easy to conquer, just like all the other planets they had taken over. But they were in for a big surprise. Humans weren't going to give up without a fight. A week after the invasion started, strange things began to happen. In New York, Sarah and her friends were hiding in an old subway tunnel. They had been sneaking around, watching the XR-Thul. Sarah noticed something odd about the aliens' helmets. "Look," she whispered to her friends, pointing at XR-Thul patrol. "Their helmets have little blinking lights on the side. I bet that's how they talk to each other." Sarah had an idea. She was good with computers and had brought her laptop with her. "If we can hack into their helmets," she said, "maybe we can confuse them." Her friends thought it was crazy, but they decided to try. They'd waited until night and snuck out. Sarah got close to XR-Thul and used her computer to send a signal to its helmet. Suddenly, the alien started walking in circles, confused. Its friends couldn't understand what it was saying. Sarah and her team quickly ran away, giggling. They had found a way to fight back. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Hiroshi and his coworkers had been busy too. They noticed that the XR-Thul ships always landed in the same spots to drop off supplies. Hiroshi had an idea. "We can't beat their technology," he told his friends, "but we know our city better than they do." That night, Hiroshi's team snuck out. They dug big holes in the XR-Thul landing spots and covered them with thin metal sheets. Then they hid and waited. The next day, a XR-Thul ship came to land. As soon as it touched down, it fell into the hole. The ship was stuck, and the angry aliens couldn't get out. Hiroshi and his team had trapped a whole XR-Thul ship with just some shovels and metal sheets. All around the world, humans were finding clever ways to fight back. In Brazil, people used mirrors to reflect the sun into the XR-Thul's sensitive eyes, blinding them. In Russia, they used old Cold War tunnels to move around without being seen. But the biggest surprise came from Dr. Lopes in her lab in Chile. She had been working day and night, studying the XR-Thul technology. Finally, she made a breakthrough. "The XR-Thul's shields," she exclaimed to her team. "They're not magic. They're just energy fields, and every energy field has a frequency." Dr. Lopes built a device that could disrupt the XR-Thul's shields. It looked like a TV remote control, but when she pointed it at XR-Thul and pressed the button, its shield flickered and died. Excited, Dr. Lopes shared her discovery with resistance groups around the world. Soon, people everywhere were building shield busters. The XR couldn't understand why their shields kept failing. The aliens were getting angry. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Humans were supposed to be weak and easy to control. Instead, they were causing trouble everywhere. In Africa, a group of wildlife rangers used their knowledge of animals to cause chaos. They released a herd of elephants near XR camp. The aliens had never seen such big animals before and ran away scared. In Australia, surfers used their jet skis to zoom around XR ships in the harbor, spraying them with water. The XR, it turned out, hated getting wet. They retreated back to their ships, hissing and angry. Even kids were joining the fight. In Canada, a group of school children built a giant slingshot. They used it to fling stink bombs at the XR. The aliens' sensitive noses couldn't handle the smell, and they ran away holding their faces. The XR leaders were furious. How could these primitive humans be causing so much trouble? They decided to send a message. They gathered humans in a big square in Paris, planning to make an example of them. But as the XR leaders started to speak, something amazing happened. Hundreds of small drones, built by French engineers, flew out of hiding places. They swarmed around the XR, beeping and flashing lights. The aliens, surprised and confused, started swatting at the drones like they were angry bees. In the confusion, the humans escaped. They ran through secret passages in the old city, laughing at the silly sight of the mighty XR fighting with tiny drones. News of these victories spread around the world. Humans began to feel hope again. They realized that while the XR might have advanced technology, humans had something special too. They had creativity, bravery, and the ability to work together in amazing ways. The XR were starting to worry. This planet was not like the others they had conquered. These humans were unpredictable and surprisingly tough. For the first time, the mighty XR weren't sure if they were going to win. As the sun set on another day of the invasion, the XR retreated to their ships to make new plans. But all over the Earth, humans were celebrating their small victories and preparing for the next day's battle. The war was far from over, but one thing was clear: Earth wasn't going down without a fight. And it was a fight that the humans just might win. The alien killing germ. As humans fought back against the XR all over the world, scientists were working hard to find a way to defeat the aliens once and for all. In a secret lab deep under the streets of London, a team of the world's best scientists had gathered. They were led by Dr. Emily Chen, a brilliant biologist who had been studying alien life forms for years. Dr. Chen and her team had been working non-stop for weeks. They had samples of XR blood and tissue collected from battlefields around the world. Day and night, they looked at these samples under powerful microscopes, trying to find a weakness. One day, as Dr. Chen was looking at XR blood sample, she noticed something strange. "Come here, everyone," she called to her team. "Look at this." The other scientists crowded around her microscope. In the XR blood, they could see tiny creatures moving around. These creatures weren't in human blood. They were something totally new. "I think I've found it," Dr. Chen said, her eyes shining with excitement. The XR have special bacteria in their blood. These bacteria help them survive in space. Without these bacteria, the XR might get very sick. The team got to work right away. They needed to find a way to attack these special bacteria without hurting humans. It was like trying to solve a very complicated puzzle. Meanwhile, the war against the XR was getting harder. The aliens had figured out some of the humans' tricks. They made their helmets harder to hack. They started checking for traps before landing their ships. They even started wearing nose plugs to avoid stink bombs. Sarah in New York and Hiroshi in Tokyo were running out of ideas. They needed help fast. Dr. Lopes in Chile was still working on improving her shield buster, but it wasn't enough to stop the XR completely. Back in the London lab, Dr. Chen's team had a breakthrough. They found a virus that could kill the harmful's special bacteria. This virus didn't hurt humans at all, but it made the harmful very, very sick. "We've done it," Dr. Chen shouted, jumping up and down with joy. "We found a way to beat the harmful." But there was a problem. They only had a little bit of the virus. They needed to make more, and fast. And they needed to find a way to spread it to all that harmful around the world. Dr. Chen called a big meeting with resistance leaders from every continent. Sarah, Hiroshi, and Dr. Lopes were there too, joining by secret video call. Dr. Chen explained her plan. "We need to put this virus in the air," she said. "If we can do that, it will spread to all the harmful quickly." Everyone agreed it was a good plan, but it would be dangerous. They would need to get very close to the harmful to release the virus. Who would be brave enough to do it? Sarah raised her hand. "My team can do it in New York," she said. Hiroshi nodded. "We'll handle Tokyo," he added. All around the world, brave humans volunteered for the mission. Dr. Chen's team worked day and night to make enough of the virus. They put it in small spray bottles, like the kind used for perfume. Each team would have one bottle. That's all they would need. The day of the mission arrived. Everyone was nervous but excited. This could be the day they saved Earth. In New York, Sarah and her friends snuck close to a big group of harmful. Their hearts were beating fast. What if the virus didn't work? What if they got caught? At exactly noon, Sarah took a deep breath and sprayed the virus into the air. At the same time, Hiroshi did the same in Tokyo. All around the world, brave humans released the virus near the harmful. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The harmful didn't even notice the spray. Sarah and her team held their breath, waiting. Then, after a few minutes, a harmful sneezed. Then another. Soon, all the harmful were coughing and sneezing. They looked confused and scared. They had never been sick before. The virus spread quickly. Within hours, harmful all over the world were getting sick. They were too weak to fight. Many of them ran back to their ships, trying to escape the mysterious illness. But it was too late. The virus had already infected all of them. Even the harmful who tried to flee in their ships got sick. Humans watched in amazement as the mighty harmful army fell apart. The aliens who had seemed so strong and scary were now weak and helpless. In London, Dr. Chen and her team cheered as they watched the news. Their plan had worked. The harmful were being defeated, not by weapons, but by a tiny germ they couldn't even see. All around the world, humans celebrated. Sarah danced in the streets of New York. Hiroshi and his friends had a big party in Tokyo. Dr. Lopes jumped for joy in her lab in Chile. The war wasn't over yet. There were still some harmful ships in space, but Earth had won its biggest victory. Humans had shown that even against the scariest enemies, they could find a way to win. As the sun set on this amazing day, people everywhere looked up at the sky. For the first time since the invasion, they weren't afraid of what they might see up there. Instead, they felt proud and strong. Earth had stood up to the bullies of the galaxy, and Earth had won. Humans go to space. The harmful on Earth were defeated, but the war wasn't over yet. There were still alien ships in space, and they were angry. Humans knew they had to act fast before the harmful could strike back. World leaders met to make a plan. They decided to do something that had never been done before: send humans to fight in space. But how? Humans didn't have spaceships that could fight. Then Sarah from New York had a brilliant idea. "We have harmful ships right here on Earth," she said in the video meeting. "Why don't we use them?" Everyone thought this was a great plan, but there was a problem. No one knew how to fly alien spaceships. That's when Hiroshi from Tokyo spoke up. "My team found an alien computer in one of the crashed ships," he said. "Maybe we can learn from it." Dr. Lopes from Chile nodded excitedly. "And I can use my shield buster technology to help protect our new ships." The plan was set. All over the world, people worked together to get ready for the big space battle. In a secret base in the desert, pilots from different countries trained to fly the alien ships. It wasn't easy. The controls were strange, and everything was written in the XRFL language. But humans are good at learning new things, and soon the pilots were zooming around, doing loops and tricks in the sky. Scientists, led by Dr. Chen, made more of the alien-killing virus. They put it in special space bombs that could be dropped on XRFL ships. Engineers worked on the ships, adding human technology to make them even better. They added comfortable seats. XRFL seats were not made for humans, and put in Earth music players to keep the pilots happy on their long journey. Finally, the day of the big mission arrived. 10 ships were ready, each with a crew of brave humans from all over the world. Sarah, Hiroshi, and Dr. Lopes were chosen to go on the main ship because of their special skills. As the ships got ready to take off, people all over Earth watched on TV. Everyone held their breath as the countdown started. 10, 9, 8. The speakers boomed. The pilots got ready, their hands on the strange alien controls. 3, 2, 1. Blast off. With a roar louder than 1,000 lions, the ships shot up into the sky. They went so fast that they were out of sight in just a few seconds. Inside the main ship, Sarah looked out the window with wide eyes. "Wow," she whispered. "We're in space." The Earth looked like a beautiful blue marble below them. For a moment, everyone was quiet, amazed by the view, but they didn't have long to enjoy it. Soon, they saw the XRFL ships. There were a lot of them, all big and scary looking. "Ready the virus bombs," Hiroshi called. Dr. Lopes checked her shield buster device. "Shields are up and strong," she reported. The human ships flew towards the aliens. The XRFL were surprised to see their own ships coming at them. They didn't know what to do. The battle was amazing. Human pilots, using skills they learned from video games, flew in ways the XRFL had never seen. They looped and spun, dodging alien attacks and firing back. Sarah used her computer skills to hack into the XRFL ships, making their engines stop working. Hiroshi dropped virus bombs, making whole ships full of aliens sneeze and cough. But the XRFL were tough. They started to surround the human ships. Things were looking bad. That's when Dr. Lopes had an idea. "If I boost the power of my shield buster," she said, "maybe we can take down all their shields at once." It was risky. If it didn't work, they'd be defenseless. But they had to try. Dr. Lopes pressed the button. There was a flash of light so bright that everyone had to close their eyes. When they looked again, all the XRFL ships were floating still, their lights off. It worked. Sarah shouted, "Their shields and engines are all down." The human ships flew around, dropping virus bombs on all the alien ships. Soon, the mighty XRFL space fleet was nothing but a bunch of floating metal boxes full of sneezing aliens. The humans had won. They flew around the defeated XRFL ships, cheering and dancing in their seats. They took some funny space selfies to show people back on Earth. As they flew back home, they sent a message to the XRFL homeworld. "Don't mess with Earth. We might look small, but we're stronger than you think." The ships landed back on Earth to a hero's welcome. Millions of people cheered as Sarah, Hiroshi, Dr. Lopes, and all the other brave space fighters stepped out of their ships. The world had changed. Humans weren't alone in the universe, and now they knew they could stand up to anyone, even scary aliens from space. As the celebration went on, Sarah looked up at the stars and smiled. "I wonder what other adventures are waiting for us up there," she said. And all around the world, humans looked to the sky with new hope and excitement for the future. Humans become space heroes. The day after the big space battle, Earth was buzzing with excitement. Everyone was talking about the brave humans who had defeated the XRFL in space. Sarah, Hiroshi, Dr. Lopez, and all the other space heroes were famous overnight. TV shows wanted to interview them. Kids dressed up like them for Halloween. There were even action figures of the space heroes in toy stores. But the heroes knew their work wasn't done yet. There were still stars out there in the galaxy, and Earth needed to be ready. World leaders met again, this time with the space heroes. They all agreed. It was time for humans to join the galactic community. "We need to meet other aliens," Sarah said. "Not all of them can be as mean as that Exarthal. Maybe we can make some space friends." Everyone liked this idea. But first, they needed to clean up the mess from the war. All around Earth, people worked together to fix the damage from the Exarthal attacks. They rebuilt cities and planted new trees. They also studied the alien technology left behind, learning new and amazing things. Hiroshi led a team that learned how to use the Exarthal's fast space travel technology. "With this," he said, "we can visit other stars." Dr. Lopes worked with scientists from around the world to make the shield technology even better. "Now we can protect Earth from any future attacks," she said proudly. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen and her team found a way to talk to some of the captured Exarthal. The aliens were surprised by how nice humans were to them, even after the war. Some Exarthal decided they liked Earth and wanted to stay as friends. A few months after the war, Earth was ready for its next big adventure. They had built a new spaceship called the SS Friendship, using a mix of human and alien technology. Its mission: to explore the galaxy and make peaceful contact with other aliens. The ship was amazing. It was as big as a city, with gardens, schools, and even a shopping mall inside. It could travel super fast, jumping between stars in just a few days. Sarah, Hiroshi, and Dr. Lopes were chosen to lead the mission. With them were scientists, diplomats, and families from all over Earth. They were ready to represent humanity to the rest of the galaxy. The day of launch was even more exciting than the first space mission. Millions of people watched as the SS Friendship took off, rising into the sky like a shining star. As they left Earth behind, Sarah looked out at the vast space before them. "Where should we go first?" she asked. Hiroshi checked the star maps they had found in the Exarthal computers. "There's a planet called Zoba not too far from here," he said. "The Exarthal notes say the aliens there are friendly." So off they went to Zoba. As they got close to the planet, they saw it was covered in purple oceans and green clouds. Strange but beautiful. Suddenly, a voice came through their radio. It was speaking a weird language, but their computer quickly translated. "Welcome, Earth friends. We've been waiting for you." The Zobans were excited to meet humans. They looked like big, talking jellyfishes floating in the air. They threw a huge party for the humans with weird-looking food that tasted like ice cream. After Zoba, the SS Friendship visited many other planets. They met aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some looked like rocks, others like clouds of gas. Some had 3 eyes, others had 6 arms. But most of them were nice and wanted to be friends. The humans shared their story of defeating the Exarthal. Many aliens were impressed. "We've been scared of the Exarthal for years," they said. "You Earth people are so brave." As they traveled, the humans learned that there used to be a galactic council where different alien species worked together. But the Exarthal had broken it up. The humans had an idea. Why not start the council again? They sent messages to all the friendly aliens they had met. "Let's meet and talk about making a new galactic council," the message said. "One where all species are equal and work together." Aliens from all over the galaxy loved this idea. Soon, representatives from hundreds of planets were meeting on a special space station to plan the new council. At the first big meeting, Sarah stood up to speak. Aliens of all kinds watched her, their eyes, or eye-like organs, wide with interest. "Friends," Sarah said, "Earth is new to the galaxy. We have a lot to learn. But we've also learned some important things that we want to share. We've learned that it's important to stand up to bullies. We've learned that even small planets can do big things. And most importantly, we've learned that when different species work together, we can solve any problem. The aliens all cheered. They voted to make the new Galactic Council, with Earth as a key member. As the humans flew back to Earth in the SS Friendship, they felt proud. They had gone from a planet that no one cared about to heroes of the galaxy. They had made new friends and helped create peace, but they knew this was just the beginning. There was a whole universe out there to explore, full of new adventures and challenges, and Earth was ready for all of it. As they saw the beautiful blue Earth coming into view, Hiroshi smiled. "You know what," he said, "I think this is the start of something really big and wonderful." Sarah and Dr. Lopes nodded in agreement. Earth's greatest adventure was just beginning.